Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with some more SFO Grimhammer. These videos are part of the final showcases as the patch launches this coming Friday, so it's not too long now. But today we're going to check out some Norsca changes as, well, let's be honest, Norsca does need a little bit of help. Now keep in mind that a lot of stuff that you're used to from Warhammer 2 is not making it over to Warhammer 3 just yet, as Vendors has decided it might be a good idea to wait just in case, because Creative Assembly did go on record and saying that they do want to fix Norsca up eventually. But with all that being said, there's a few things to discuss, so let's just jump right in. So we're going to start off with Wulfrik the Wanderer, as he is the default choice when picking Norsca. And for the faction effects, we have the following: campaign movement range plus 1% per character rank for lords. This means that you're going to get quite a decent bonus to your movement. A free unit of Marauder champions in every Wulfrik battle, so he's going to be able to have a little bit more support early on. Bonus versus large plus 5 for Marauder infantry units. Unique units, Huskarls, capacity per major settlement, and Ulfhednar, which is very difficult to pronounce, with its capacity increase per minor settlement. When it comes to your Lord effects, we have the following: reinforcement range plus 100% for Lord's Army, upkeep minus 20% for Marauder units and Lord's Army, and attribute causes fear for Lord's Army. Now when we move on to Throgg, the King of the Trolls, we have the following faction effects: diplomatic relations minus 25 with Nosca. Yes, the other chieftains are not going to really like you there. Construction cost minus 25% for all your buildings. Yeah, you're going to be able to build up some stuff at a really fast pace due to its cost. Ability Frenzy for familiar units. Casualty replenishment rate plus 20% for all troll units, and unique units are river trolls, stone trolls, and bile trolls. When it comes to the Lord effects, we have the following: control plus 5 for own local province. All units in Throgg's army are immune to all attrition. Chaos Undivided Corruption plus 5 for the local province, and income from all buildings plus 25% for local province. Who knew that Throgg knows how to budget? Anyways, let's move on to the campaign, shall we? The first thing that you will notice is the changes to favor. The bonuses have changed a little bit. They're very still much the same, so you're still going to get growth and Nurgle and all that, but it has changed around just to be a bit more in tune with how SFO works. And when you get to the end, you will get some blessed champions, so you're still going to be able to get a lot of benefits from this. The bonuses might feel a little smaller in some cases, but stronger in others, and keep in mind that if you haven't played SFO before, it's a complete overhaul to the game, so things are gonna feel very different, yet very familiar in certain places. And don't you worry, nothing's really changing too much when it comes to the special characters that you can get for actually maxing out your reputation with one of the gods, so that's still staying the same. We're not going to stay here too long, as not much has changed with the technology tree, barring the fact there's been a rebalance of some stuff. Some tech has gotten a little bit better, some has gotten worse, obviously to keep in line with SFO, and all the units that are being added in this mod, there's actually a fair decent amount of them, will also be affected by this and skills and so on. So yes, the troll units for Throgg, so you can go full troll if you want to, will actually be useful for you. There is a radical change when it comes to buildings when compared to vanilla. You'll see that the grand majority of your roster can be found either on your main settlement building or 2 other buildings. This is done for a number of reasons. Let's be very honest here, the Norsca roster is extremely small and they do need a lot more units. It's kind of sad, in all honesty, considering that they never really had an army book, so it's understandable, but yeah. But the other buildings still remain. The only difference is that they'll provide bonuses. A lot of bonuses at that. Some of them are faction-wide, some of them are in that region, in that province. They'll also increase capacity. And it's a pretty interesting thing, because since they're minor buildings now, you can focus on your minor settlements to build that up and get all the important stuff on your major stuff. Which, does make things a lot better. There's also some new buildings too. Not a lot of them, but enough to get you a little bit more support for your faction, maybe reducing the upkeep of your armies in the province, increasing control, which is going to be very much needed, or diplomatic relations with other Norscan tribes, or construction costs. It does really help you, as again, Norsca does need a little bit of help here and there, especially as they're a faction that is in desperate need of a rework, hopefully the next one. Raising settlements will now be a lot better for you. Not only will they provide the usual favor, as you can expect, but you'll also get some benefits. You can see them here here, they're faction-wide benefits, and they're going to help you just get a little bit more of a leg up, because you are in a very weird place. The Norscan factions often get declared war on by, say, Sigvald or Bretonnia or the Empire. A lot of factions outright hate you, so this should help you a little bit more. Now, you also do have a little bit more support in the form of new generic Lord options. The first one we're going to be checking out is the Marauder Pathfinder, which is a range-focused Lord. So just in case you want another Marauder, but you don't want the melee one, this one comes with the Marauder Chariot with Ice Wolves. The idea is just to have something different, and this actually is probably my favorite of the two Marauders, because I kind of like a little bit of range, and you do have a decent amount of range units when you're playing as Wulfrik, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But yeah, it adds in a little bit more, which again Norsca needs, because Norsca does show off its age as a race pack DLC from the time before the race pack DLCs were just like really good. I'm hopeful for the future, but until then the Pathfinder does add in a little more support that you kind of want anyway. But perhaps you want a spellcaster. Well, unfortunately there's no Marauder for that, but there is a Famir, and this is actually quite cool because you can decide what lore of magic you're going to go for. You can go for Lore of Shadow, you can go for Lore of Fire. It already brings in a little bit for you to have, you know, a little bit of firepower, just in case you don't want a normal spellcaster hero. It depends on how you want to play, or you just want more spellcasters in one army, which, I mean, I do myself. They'll also be used if you want to have full Famir armies, because you do have some extra Famir units, and in general, you know, it's just a little bit more theming, right? Because it makes sense to have a Famir army led by Famir. It's a lore thing, which I understand doesn't really appeal to everyone, but hey. Anyways, the last thing when it comes to the campaign is going to be the fact that the items that you get from monster hunting are going to be much more lucrative, providing some faction-wide bonuses, which let's be honest, would be just nice in general to have. And it actually gives you a reason to do the monster hunts. I completely forget that the monster hunts exist in vanilla, which could just be a me thing. But yeah, pretty good bonuses all around. Just some extra faction-wide stuff does help. It makes you a little bit stronger. And the faction-wide bonuses, I mean, you're not really going to say no to that, right? Some of them are quite situational. Like, for example, the one with the Frost Dragon Fang. It's going to give you faction-wide bonuses during forest battles, which you're not really going to deal with too much, but just in case you have it, you've already got the faction-wide bonus. So we're going to start looking towards units being added in by the mod, and we've got the Blessed Marauder Champions. These are Berserker types. So yeah, using the format of the Forsaken, because they're just very highly mutated, that could be considered a blessing in some tribes. And yeah, they're very strong. They've got regeneration. They're pretty glass cannon-y. But yeah, they can do a lot of damage. Like, they definitely rip apart your enemies without too much of an issue. Obviously, you'll want to keep them secure because, you know, with regen, they will take a lot of extra damage to fire. And the AI will use fire if it needs to. But yeah, it makes sense to have some blessed units, which are just highly chaos corrupted, as yeah, that's pretty much the format, isn't it, when it comes to Chaos factions. But when we start going into more traditional Norscan stuff, this is in lore, keep in mind that not all Norskans are very heavily chaotic. We have the Norscan Whalers from Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, I believe. So this is going to be a spear unit, but it's also javelin, so they're anti-large. You know, they're a range unit, which might not have a lot of range. It's 100, it's not a lot, but they're able to do a decent amount of damage. You're going to be fighting a lot of large creatures anyway, whether you're going down south or if you're going up north to deal with any Chaos factions who might find you to be a threat. Plus, these are units that we're pretty much hoping for in a future DLC and stuff, you know. Whalers, they fit with the theme really well, and it's about time that Norsca got given a bit more identity than just, oh, we're Chaos Light. The Ulfhednar are another new unit, and these are pretty cool. So they're a close quarters infantry, but they'll throw in a few shots whilst they're getting close enough. So 70 range, not a lot, but they're more of a melee unit than they are range. They've got additional hand weapons, so they're able to do quite a lot of damage quite quickly. So they'll just basically fire right before they get into combat, which I think works well. You know, you got them charging right into your enemy lines, throw a few axes in, and then just rip them apart. And yeah, works out quite cool. Now, these are exclusive to Wulfrik, same as the other units, which are the Norscan Huskars. Now, I really like this unit because a spear with shield is always pretty cool. This is something that you could do on the tabletop, by the way, just for an extra armor save, and it kind of works here too, to be honest. So they're anti-large, you know, they're a defender unit, so they're able to hold the line quite well. This is why I really like them. They're a really good front line, which will actually merge quite well with your normal Marauder champions. And I'm not going to say no to having a big anti-large unit, which is going to be able to hold down. Sometimes I don't want all monsters, right? Or I don't want to use skin wolves or whatever. So these kind of fit in quite well here. Vermeer Stalkers are for both factions, and this is just another Vermeer unit, which they have, they're an axe infantry unit, they've got scaling damage, they've got Stalk, they've got Defender. Stats are good, all in all, 80 armor's not bad, leadership is quite high, speed is a bit slow, but then again it is a Vermeer, and yeah, it'll be able to do a decent amount of damage. You can get the Lord option and get a bunch of Vermeer in there, and have 4 Vermeer armies, which, yeah, cool, right? Who doesn't want a full army of, like, literally just all Vermeer? That'd just be awesome, especially since that wasn't really a possibility on the tabletop, because they were just so damn expensive. Forge World. Now, moving exclusively to Throgg, we have a bunch of trolls. The first one being the Norscan Battle Troll. Big boy, single entity, very powerful, very strong. This is in case you want to run full troll armies that you can mix and match with the other monsters, because, yeah, to be fair, the Norscan faction does actually have a decent amount of monsters in its roster, but I know a lot of people who want to run trolls, and just more trolls. And with this, you can. Yeah, I like it. Again, it's a troll. I'm not too used to using them. I don't know, maybe I don't use it in the great way, but it just adds in a lot more theming. You get that here with the Norscan Stone Trolls too. You're already used to these because obviously they've been in the roster for the Greenskins, I believe, for a while now. So just a little bit more, a little bit of choice for your Troll King, for armies, for theming. It's great. I like the fact of having units, even if you're not going to use it, it's better to have variety, so if you want to, you can. That's how it kind of worked on the tabletop too. There were a lot of units in the army books for your respective faction that you probably would not use, but it was always nice to have the opportunity to use if you wanted to theme a certain way. This goes again with the Norscan River Trolls. Again, you're used to them with the Greenskins, so there's not too much to talk about them here, but you've got a nice amount here. Pair them already with the trolls that you already have access to naturally, and you've got a pretty good army. It's just that simple, and it just adds in so much theming, which I know is not important to a lot of people, but it is to people like me who are so used to this setting. A little bit of theming goes a long way. So here we are at the end, and Norsca does feel quite good. I've had a decent amount of time to play as Norsca, and yeah, they're okay. They're not great. Let's be honest, even Creative Assembly have gone out and said it. They did get a decent update from Creative Assembly, which did make them more bearable, and what I feel is that the SFO patch just kind of adds a little bit more to it. In the future, we'll hopefully get some unique mechanics and stuff like that, but until then, I feel like Norsca is in a decent enough place to be able to enjoy. Possibly more with Wulfrik than Throgg, I'd say, but that's just personal preference. But what do you guys think about the changes coming into Norsca? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. The SFO team will be checking this out. Even though the patch is coming out on Friday for SFO, they still have chances in the future, to revisit stuff. So do leave your thoughts as feedback. And with all that being said, have a nice day, and I shall see you all again very, very soon.